Welcome back to Multiversal Studios. This video will be looking at what if Seto Kaiba defeated Yugi in Battle City. Also a quick shout out to Hussein316 for the video idea. So let's recap the last few plays of the duel between Yugi and Seto in the Battle City tournament. It is Yugi's turn and the board stay at the time is Kaiba taking the lead with his Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, which has 4500 attack. And Yugi only has a copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon in defense mode and his Dark Paladin. Dark Paladin, which originally has an attack of 2900. However, in the anime it gains 500 attack for every dragon on the field. So if you include the Red Eyes and Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, it brings Dark Paladin's attack up to 3900, which is still considerably weaker than the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. However, even though Kaiba is in an advantageous position, Yugi has two face down cards. Kaiba attacks Dark Paladin. However, Yugi activates one of his face down cards, which is Magic Formula, which in the anime boosts his Dark Paladin by 500 attack, bringing Dark Paladin's attack to 4400 attack, which alone still isn't strong enough to contend with the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, which still has 100 attack more. However, Kaiba takes the bait and counters with Absorb Spell. This card takes the 500 attack boost from Dark Paladin and adds it onto the Ultimate Dragon, making it even stronger at 5000 attack, which left Kaiba vulnerable to Yugi's last facedown card, which was Defusion. This one card set the tone for the entire duel and led to Kaiba losing. Kaiba, who was left with 3 singular Blue Eyes White Dragons, were easily wiped out by Dark Paladin with help from the spell card Diffusion Wave Motion. This wiped out the rest of his life points. But what if things didn't go that way? What if instead Kaiba didn't use Absorb Spell on Magic Formula, which did nothing for Kaiba in that duel, and he instead drew a different card which countered Diffusion, allowing Kaiba to keep his Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon and in the long run win him that duel. Which card, you may ask? Well, the answer is D-Spell. Now in the TCG, this card just simply destroys a spell card. However, in the anime, this card does much more, and it actually negates the activation of the spell card and destroys it. Yugi's entire plan to defeat Kaiba revolved around that one card, Diffusion. So with Kaiba countering it with D-Spell, victory was assured. But what happens now in the story, now that Kaiba has defeated Yugi? Kaiba would be on the top of the moon. He had put a lot of thought into this duel, with every combo and move premeditated to ensure that he won, and it had paid off. Destiny had failed Yugi. When it came down to practice, preparation and skill, there was no one who put as much effort as Seto Kaiba. Seto had spent time gloating at Yugi, whilst his friends tried to console him, telling him he did his best, but that fell on deaf ears. All Yugi could think about was all the people he let down by losing this one duel. The only people happy in the dueling arena would be Kaiba and Marek, who just didn't care about the result regardless. Kaiba was one step closer to achieving his dreams and burying the past, and receiving all 3 Egyptian god cards at the end of the tournament. Mokuba, who should have been happy for Seto, felt a little sad inside, knowing that this victory meant that Seto was one step closer to forgetting his past and all the happy memories they had growing up.
Why don't you smile anymore? I know our childhood wasn't the best, but at least we had fun sometimes. And now you're always in a bad mood, and I want it back the way it was!
Those days are over!
Atem dropped to his knees, looking up at the sky, realizing that he had failed. He mentally apologizes to everyone he had let down. However, Kaiba had enough of the pity party and told Yugi to accept defeat like a true duelist. Atem slowly stood up from the ground and began to tell Kaiba that there was more to lose in this tournament than just a card game, and the fate of the entire world was at stake. However, this only angered Kaiba and told Yugi to hurry up and give him what he had won, a copy of Slifer the Sky Dragon. Atem looked at his deck in defeat, wondering why the heart of the cards had let him down. Slowly he pulled out the god card and gave it one more glance before handing it over to Seto Kaiba. Seto snatched it out of his hands, looking at the card like a kid in a candy store. Atem looked Seto dead in the eyes and told him that it was up to him now. The fate of the entire world rested on Seto's shoulders, and at that moment both Atem and Kaiba turned their backs on each other and walked away. Atem heading towards his crestfallen friends, and Seto back to his little brother Mokuba. Seto was met by a hug from Mokuba. Regardless of how Mokuba felt deep down, this was a big achievement for Seto, and he would be happy for him regardless. The next duel was announced, Seto Kaiba versus Marek Ishtar in the finals. Marek walked past Seto in hysterics, wishing him luck in the finals, and then Marek walked towards Yugi and his friends. Kaiba headed to his room, getting ready for the finals. He knew Marek had the most powerful god card, the Winged Dragon of Ra. However, most of his preparation had already been done. This was the plan from the moment he discovered that he could read the text from the Winged Dragon of Ra. Seto couldn't help laughing to himself in his room. He had beaten Yugi finally, and taking back the pride Yugi had taken from him so long ago. On the opposite side, Yugi requested some time alone from his friends, who were worried about him. He went to visit Ishizu in the infirmary. Around Ishizu lay an unconscious Odeon and Mai. Yugi sat down next to her. No words were spoken, however Ishizu understood. This was twice she had seen the future incorrectly. The first time Kaiba defied fate by beating her in their duel, and the second time was also Kaiba defeating Atem. The future can always change, however never before has she seen the Millennium Necklace be wrong twice, and around the same person, Seto Kaiba. Maybe Kaiba was one of the few chosen ones who walk outside of destiny, able to change fate at his whim.
This is crazy! I've never felt anything like this before! Is this another one of Ishizu's tricks? Why are these visions flashing before my eyes? Ishizu's mind games must be getting to me!
Ishizu left Yugi to sit with his friends who were stuck in the Shadow Realm, giving him time. A few minutes went by and someone else entered the room with a rough, evil laugh. It was Marik. Yugi looked up at Marik in shock, as Marik laughed at how pathetic the pharaoh had become. Marik raised his Millennium Rod, challenging Atem to a shadow game. Yugi immediately switched with Atem as they started to collide forces. Marik's Millennium Rod versus Yugi's Millennium Puzzle. Marik was after the power of the pharaoh, and now that Atem has been defeated by Seto, Atem was weak and vulnerable. Soon Marik began to overcome him, pushing Atem onto the ground. Marik was still fresh and gloated as Atem was being overwhelmed. Atem had a precious few seconds before he felt his soul being sent to the Shadow Realm. In his puzzle, Atem went looking for Yugi. He told Yugi that he didn't have much time left, and Atem smiled at Yugi, who had tears in his eyes. Atem told Yugi that his soul would be safe, and he used the last of his shadow magic to protect Yugi's soul from any harm. Atem began to fade away as he was slowly being consumed by the shadow magic. Soon, Yugi was all that was left inside. Marik left an unconscious Yugi on the floor between Odeon and Mai. His Millennium Puzzle had been taken away by Marik. Now all that Marik needed was Obelisk the Tormentor and Slifer the Sky Dragon, and he would have full access to the Pharaoh's power. Marik went to the top of the tower, and there waiting for him was Seto Kaiba, with a cold stare on his face.
That fool thinks having 2 Egyptian god cards will give him the advantage. But even Slifer and Obelisk together are no match for my Winged Dragon of Ra!
The Battle City Finals was going to commence. Who do you think, guys, would win between Seto Kaiba and Marik Ishtar? Well, if you want to know the answer, make sure you like and subscribe for part 2.
Attention! The last duel's about to begin! Duelists, prepare your cards!